Good morning, grade sevens. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone had a relaxing weekend, but now it's time to get back to work. I know it was a bit cold over the weekend, so hopefully everyone has a little blanket over them or a jacket on. Okay, so now we're moving on to a new topic. We're talking about graphs. I'm sure you all remember graphs from grade 6, grade 5. So now we're just going to go a bit more into it. But now for this lesson, it's just going to be a quick revision on graphs. So we're going to talk about the types of graphs and why do we use graphs. So why do we need graphs in our daily lives and why do we need it in sports, in business, in schools, and so on? Why are graphs important? So graphs help us show information instead of just making a whole essay or paragraphs of words. We use graphs in schools, our daily lives, sports, and businesses. So now imagine if there was no graphs. A few businesses would not have fun and school wouldn't be as chaotic as it would be more chaotic than it is. Okay, so today we will learn how to read and interpret information, draw simple graphs, learn about all the different types of graphs, such as bar graphs, line graphs, broken line graphs. I'm sure we all have a little bit of memory from grade 6 or grade 5. So what is a graph? A graph is a picture of data. It makes the information easier to understand. For example, I have put in a bar graph here in the bottom. You can see it's just increasing and it's showing item 1 to 4 and it's on the y-axis. So it makes information easier to understand. So when you see something, rather than reading it, we can see the difference, see the increasing, the decreasing, and all the differences going on. And now we have line graphs in our top left corner. As you can see, there's a dark blue line, a medium blue line, and a light blue line. This shows an increase over time or a change over time. So a bar graph. So I've now given an example of a bar graph. So it's the grade 7's favorite sports. So we have football, netball, athletics, and swimming. So we interviewed 20 students in grade 7 and they told us about their least favorite, most favorite, and which they love. What is the most popular sport? So now I want you to write the date and the heading graphs in your book. I want you to now answer the following questions. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. If I'm going a bit too fast, just drop a little comment in the chat. What is the most popular sport? So now let's go back to our bar graph. And as you can see, there's one bar that's just standing out the most. So let's write that down. Now, how many more which is the least popular? So now let's then go back to our bar graph and we can see there's one little bar graph that stands out the most in a little bar. Write that down. Now, how many more learners like football than athletics? Now, what we're going to do is simple equation 20 minus 5 and we get the answer of 15. Okay, now we're going to talk about line graphs. So as you can see, I've drawn up a line graph. Because it's been a bit cold, I put the meme in the bottom here that says I walk outside and be like. It's very freezing sometimes. The weather's been a bit cold. I hope everyone's staying warm at the moment. So it's the different temperatures in Johannesburg 2025 for January, February, March, April, and May. So now, after our first set of questions, I just want you to write down again line graph and I want you to answer the following questions. So, which month was the temperatures the hottest? Okay, and how does the temperature change? Okay, now moving on. So now a broken line graph is similar to a line graph, but there's a few little changes, such as you can see the little dots here on the black line. You can see these dots here that are just pointing to where exactly the change is occurring. So a broken line graph is a line graph that shows changes over time. Now we're going to use the following information on the next slide to create our own broken line graph. So under all your questions that we've done so far, I just want you to create your own broken line graph. So this is the equation you're going to use. You need to save money for your taxi fare for the next week in order to get to school. The taxi fare was 10 Rand but kept increasing each day from 25 Rand to 30 Rand to 45 Rand and to 55 Rand. You need to create a broken line graph of the above taxi fares. Now I'm going to continue, but I want you to come back to this slide and I want you to pause and create your line graph. Now our exercise, I have given you step by step, I'm sure we all remember this, on how to draw different graphs from grade 6 or grade 5, but I am giving you step by step on what you're going to do and include in an exercise. So before we end the call, I am going to put you into groups of 4 and you are going to, then on the call, I will pop in every 10 minutes to check that you are doing okay. You are going to ask each other 4 of your favorite cool drinks. So it can be Sprite, Coke, Fanta, Stony, or if you want to say sparkling water, that's all right. So you are going to collect your data from your friends and their favorite cool drinks. You are then going to draw an X and Y axis. You are going to label your axes. Remember, you need to have a ruler for this part. Draw your bar graph and your line graph on each of your graphs. You're going to add a title and underline your title and make sure, I want to see colorful and creative bar graphs. So I want to see color on your lines. I want to see color in your bar graphs. All right. Now you are going to have another practice question. So you've studied for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and 5 hours. You've seen that there's a certain trend or a certain pattern that you can use. As you might have remembered, we went through patterns, so this is a pattern you can see. It keeps increasing or does it keep decreasing? Okay, your test marks, when you studied 1 hour, it increased, it was 40%. When you studied 2 hours, it was 50%. When it was 3 hours, it was 60%, 4 hours, 70%, and 5 hours, 80%. Now, you are going to draw a line graph on the above data, and I want you to, just under your line graph, answer in 4 or 5 sentences on what pattern do you see within the line graph, and you must give me a reason why. So, for example, I see my mark decreasing the more I studied because in my line graph, Okay? Now, we're just going to have a little recap of today. Today, we learned graph represents data visually. So instead of writing everything down, we can now see it with our own eyes. Bar graphs compare two or more things to one another. A line and broken line graphs show changes over time, and we learned how to draw different graphs. Now, what I want you to do after all our exercises that we've done, I want you to now just complete your own little bar graph or line graph of something that you use in your daily life. For example, how many socks do you have compared to shoes, to t-shirts, to pants, or how many hours per day do you do your homework, per week, okay? And then if you are a bit confused, I do have my references here on this page, and you can drop a message in the chat or you can email me. I hope you have a good afternoon, grade 7s. I hope to see you next time.